Playing the first end. Selena Sturmay versus Hannah Phillips. Sturmay playing the Yellowstones. Phillips playing the Redstones. Danielle Schmiemann trying to protect the stone there on the pin. Leaving it half open though. Pin is available if she wanted to just come down to this, but half open, chance to make a play on it. You've got some clearance behind the stones in the 8-foot.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Don't forget the brooms.
Yep, you got it.
Come on up. Okay, well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Asham Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Asham Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at asham.com.
Hello, everyone. There are voices. There are people here watching this game with you. My name is Rory McCusker. I am with Hans. And Hans, you're going to tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Yeah, Frauenlob. You nailed it yesterday, buddy.
Frauenlob.
Frauenlob, yep.
Perfect.
Good to be here. And yes, there are voices, and we saw Abby Phillips with a draw for 2 in the first and just threw it through the rings. So after a great chance to start and get a couple on the board, just let that one get away. So Sturmay with hammer here in the second.
Indeed it was. A little bit of a warm-up first end for these teams. Didn't really seem like they were too comfortable.
Well, yeah, well, when you're coming up the C road and you know that it's winter stop, you know, that sometimes makes the start of the game a little bit tentative, but they've had a lot of curling this weekend, so they should be pretty accustomed to the ice conditions by now. 6th game for Sturmay.
Initial draw from Team Phillips. Those over curls. Couple feet. Really good depth, but just a little too far outside that 4-foot to be dangerous.
Good chance to use this corner guard. Seeing the big late swoop the entire weekend. And there it is. Oh, nice shot. Fully buried high in the rings.
Yep. It's 100% end from Paige Papley. Just ticking the center guard. Kind of pushes it to a better spot, and the shooter protects the stone in the ring, so not too bad of a result. Really didn't miss the shot by much. Call was a freeze on their own.
You can see the call back though, Rory. The way these are angled, you can kind of get a 2-for-1 here. You can run the front double off the shooter and roll your shooter to protect your shot behind a corner if everything works out perfectly here.
not feeling too much like a steal at this point.
Well, the result of this shot's going to dictate that, isn't it?
First of the hitting stones, 5-rock rule has elapsed. Run and roll. Gets one, gets two, makes the roll. Team Sturmay on fire here in the second.
Yeah, just like you drew it up, right? Couldn't be better.
And we'll see from the overhead, really good angles on those two yellows. Have to get that thing pretty thin across the top to get rid of them both, and even still, fairly good situation for the team with hammer.
Yeah, if there's contact, reasonable chance of a jam here.
Gets the top guard. One of the acceptable results from that shot.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
Fairly good playground, as you might think of it, for Team Sturmay to get their multi-score end going. They've got rocks off center line, kind of in the way of the draw path to the button, but a low guard, quite easy to run in, protecting one of their stones that's already in the rings, and they're in the hack shooting. So a good scenario here for Team Sturmay, with 5 rocks left to make something of it.
Yeah, the play is definitely around that tight red. The debate is, how deep do we want to go? Do you want to leave it high in the rings? You want to take it deep? I think higher is probably better. You go deep and then you bring the chance of the pinball triple into play.
Desiree Haas, second stone. Little out-turn draw. Now, I'm trying to remember, Hans, yesterday. Is this the same sheet that Sturmay played on in the game that you and I covered yesterday? Sheet 2?
Might very well be. I'd have to go back to my notes and check, but I think you're right.
I'm almost positive we saw that Brad Gushu poster behind the sheet yesterday. So
I was thinking more about the Stetson than the poster, but I'm sure you're right. That's a great draw.
Pretty sure it was. And I'll remember from the draw we covered yesterday that out-turn going home, crossing the center line, really, really moved. So
yep.
The Team Phillips initial draw, riding that path, and then Desiree making a really nice draw around that exact same path that Team Sturmay would have had a good look at yesterday.
So here is the chance to maybe certainly kill 2, and if you get a little bit of luck, maybe you can kill all 3 if you can throw it hard enough. You can pound the front stone straight back, and it's almost angled for a natural double.
This is where a really strong hitting third comes in very handy. It's very important. Gets 1, gets 2, does clear 2 yellow stones of the rings. That's an important shot at a crucial point midway through this second end.
Just a fraction more contact on the high side, and that maybe is 3, but yep, 2 out of there, and just as importantly now, got their own stones in front of the rings, but they are off the center line, so multiple ends still going here for Selena Sturmay. Treat those front red stones like corner guards. And that one is just whipping over. Chance for Hannah Phillips to get out of jail here. Take advantage of that miss and run this red back.
Makes contact with the top and just breezes by. Really close attempt. And not a bad result either. Now that rock's going to be available to hit later on. Good comeback.
It was, but yeah, that was just really just a half a centimeter from good. And those run backs, that's it. You just got to be precise, right? And we've just seen the rocks moving so much. Nailing a run back, hitting a contact point that has to be absolutely precise is pretty tough.
Fighting to keep this one online. Both sweepers going really hard. May have just been a little light. Does crash the red rock. Let's take a look at who's laying what. Will tap the red stone in. Shouldn't be too important, but I guess now that I do the math.
Important. Yeah, that's your force right there. A little red stone clinging on the edge of the 12-foot.
Yes, good point, Hans.
Yellow is splittable against it, but yeah, that's a factor. Statement of the obvious, but really important that Phillips sticks around. Fine to be in the open. You don't need to roll for cover necessarily here because you've got that second counter on the rings now. Nice shot.
And it looks like in this even end, the first even end of this game, Team Sturmay is deciding we're going for two. And doesn't matter where the red rock is, they're just going to put their stone exactly where they want it, which is buried behind the tight yellow guard. On straighter ice, you might have to tap here, but with what we've seen in Beaumont, this shot is very possible.
Well, you can definitely get there. I got to say, I'm a little surprised, Rory. I mean, that red stone is relatively high in the rings. You could hit roll for cover and then keep the split alive for 3. But confidence in draw weight and, as you say, lots and lots of finish. So this is a valid way for 2.
Well managed sweep. Front end. Paige Bapley and Desiree Hawes does get there for shot rock. Does get that stone buried. I feel like you gotta give that one at the front end.
Yeah, it is a nice shot. makeable double on the 2 yellows. You'd get a little uncomfortably close to that front red, trying it to go across the top, but is there if she wanted to play it. Two reds are angled on the shot rock, but you'd have to move the front yellow to get to the 2 reds, so I don't think that's really an option they should be looking at.
The result is really good. 2 reds in the rings, 1 buried. But yeah, difficulty level definitely pretty high. With that biter in the top 12, you think the easier shot might be to just double off those 2 yellows that are lined up down the center line.
That's what I'm playing all day.
Yeah.
Challenge is you really need to go across the top of the back rock to make, because you come to nose and you slam it on the right-hand side of the yellow as we look at it from the overhead. That's just going to spill over on top of the red and jam. So if you're going to make the double, you're going to have to go across the top of it. To do that, you're going to come pretty close to that front red that's biting, but I think the angle is definitely there. And if you do make it that way, you probably get the bonus of spilling over in front of your shot rock as well.
If you make it absolutely perfect, it might be good enough to take away the draw path on the intern side.
Yep. So I think you got to make a play at these 2 one way or the other. I mean, even if you nose it and stuff it, you're at least making her make a play at your shot rock now, because red would be shot if it was yellow straight onto the nose of yellow, I think. Taking a long look at this. And it is pretty tempting when you see those 2 reds angled straight onto the shot rock. You're thinking, yeah, well, maybe we can get at those things and get the 2 reds moving somehow, but it's just not there. The ideal contact point, just about 1 centimeter on the brush side of center on the front yellow stone. Go across the top of the stone in the back, roll your shooter to the left.
They have arrived at probably the simplest, most direct conclusion. And here we go, big shot. Team Phillips. That is curling a mile. It's gonna hit, it's gonna jam. And, you know, as ugly as that may have looked, I don't think there was really anything has changed too much. It's still a draw for 2.
It is a draw for 2. But you could just see from Hannah's slide path, she was sliding inside the line right out of the hack, and so that one was destined to over curl really from the first move. But you're right, not too much more damage done. It is a draw for 2. As we saw in the first end, draws for 2 aren't necessarily automatics.
Hey, no mind to that scoreboard error in the bottom left. This is Phillips versus Sturmay. And a draw for 2 for Selena Sturmay.
Just throw down this general path so she'd have a pretty good idea of the weight. Well, talked about not automatic, and that was not good.
No. Another missed opportunity for 2 points. The Skips have traded barely ugly misses. 2 ends gone. Score is 1-1. Team Phillips will have hammer when we return.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
You are looking at the Beaumont Curling Club, Beaumont, Alberta, the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major women's event, following up the men's event last weekend. It's been a busy club these last 8, 9, or 10 days or so. And it is Saturday, which means do or die time for these two teams.
You're absolutely right, Rory. Winner of this game will go into the C final, and then the winner of that game will qualify. So, yep, it is do or die time in Beaumont.
Two young Canadian teams on the ice. Always fun to watch these teams develop and turn into their own kind of styles and identities. Team Sturmay just a few years ago, not a very well-known team, and since then have skyrocketed into nearly Grand Slam tier competitors. They did compete in the Grand Slam of curling last year. I forget exactly which competition it was, but it just shows it is very possible. Hard work and commitment to the game. You can achieve curling goals just as a regular old person, Hans.
Well, we all started somewhere, didn't we, Rory? You know, we all started in a curling club, and we've all learned to play, and then you try to get better, and you start to play against better teams, and you reassemble your own teams, and it's a progression. And you know, it is a journey to get there. You don't just sort of magic your way into a Grand Slam or a national championship or into the Olympics. It is a journey. You got to pay your dues. You got to learn, and a lot of this learning happens in tournaments exactly like this. And it is exciting to watch new teams find their way. You know, if I think back to my own competitive past, just experiencing having success at another level is for a lot of teams a very new feeling. And once that happens, like it did for Sturmay last year, things can really go from there. Self-belief is such an important thing. When you're seeing great curlers and you're growing up watching and admiring them, and all of a sudden you're playing against them, it can be a bit daunting. But then when you go out there and you have a success against them, all of a sudden you start to believe in yourself and you believe that you belong. And this is very much what the Alberta Curling Series is all about for me.
Earlier and earlier, we see these competitions beginning year in, year out. And September 21st actually feels like we've already been rolling for a little while. Some of us in the more have-not provinces haven't really hit the ice yet. So facilities play a big part in it.
Well, they sure do. And in some locations, we're seeing facilities open 12 months of the year now. That's becoming a little bit more common. And I don't think our sport will ever turn into a 12-month of the year sport, but certainly the competitive season is extending earlier and earlier for the folks in the northern hemisphere. Of course, in the southern hemisphere, you know, curling in July is a normal thing.
So, apologies, folks. We've had lot of kind of jumbling sheets and such at Beaumont. It's tough for us to keep track of who's where. Just want to clarify that we do have Team Booth throwing the red stones. Team Booth, my apologies. We did have it wrong off the gate. It's often something where we don't quite know exactly who's playing where until the teams go out for practice. So it ends up being a bit of a mad scramble on our end to figure out exactly who, what, and where is happening. All just part of the learning process of coordinating things and bringing you all these free curling games on YouTube. So once again, apologies to the teams.
Indeed.
My partner Hans here can only see what we show him, so it's tough to keep track. Exactly, and you know, we were mentioning September. We do notice some teams haven't quite got their yearly uniforms figured out. That makes it even more difficult to identify who is where. And as we know, as you're about to hit the ice for a competitive game, you're not so interested in making sure that everybody else around you knows what's going on. You're in an athletic mindset. You're trying to get those practice stones, get your draw weight, work with your team, and you know, we can't blame the athletes for just paying attention to what they have to do out there.
No, fair enough. Still very much a situation, though, where this is the C semi. So the game situation very much the same for both teams here. Win to stay in.
Intern is cruising to the back of the house, gonna tap their own stone back. Not ideal. It was somewhat unlikely that stone was gonna count anyway, but big sweep. Gonna sit right on the nose. A little bit of an opportunity to, yeah, move 2 yellow stones and situate themselves quite well around the corner guard.
Yeah, it's almost automatic if you can get half across that yellow stone that's in the open. Kind of shave the guard to do that, but even if you were just to roll on top of the second yellow stone, pretty good spot. You'd love to move it if you could, though. A little roll. It's pretty useful. Covered enough that can't really go after it to try and dig it out, so looks like they're kind of try to draw up to it and maybe nudge it a bit.
chips the red stone, rolls herself out. Not
That's
quite good enough.
No, and that was the benefit of how good that little roll was. It created that angle and created that possibility that if you do try to run weight at it, jam was there, rock hangs around, and now all of a sudden, Team Booth with a great opportunity. Interesting, Rory. They seem to be looking at a split here.
Well, let's take a look.
There does seem to be
Wow.
a path back to the shot rock, but there was a lot of brush activity up near the front red. We'll just see the path and the weight.
You'd think they'd have enough room to make a tap back on that yellow stone, and then if you split the red, so be it.
Yeah, it's one of those AB shots, isn't it?
Playing the split itself. The only thing you don't want to do is get it too thick and continue to guard the yellow, and that's what they're going to do. Brave call.
That is a brave call. I mean, it is the way that you can kind of come up with a 4. You know, if you're going to take that kind of approach as opposed to playing just directly at the shot, then you are saying, okay, we're just doing this because we're just going to load up the house and accumulate, which is not a bad play. I mean, there's lots of room in the scoring area, all kinds of trouble for Sturmay. So lots to think about here. You make a play at shot rock, a little bit wide, you jam, and then you're into a jackpot. Come a little bit narrow, you wreck, and then your opponent's got a chance to lay 4. So even though the shot rock is still covered after that split attempt, still a lot of work to do here for Team Sturmay.
Yeah, it's been an interesting kind of dynamic this end. The Booth team, right from the second stones, was really prioritizing counting their stones that were in the 12-foot, even though it seemed unlikely those stones would count by the end of this end. They made calls to keep those stones relevant, and it seems to have paid off. Team Sturmay will. Yeah.
Sorry, Rory. Certainly something that I always like to do as a skip. You know, I loved accumulating stones in the rings with hammer, because you never know that the chance that you can use them in some way. They're accumulating as a scoring threat, but then you can kind of jump off them, you can freeze to them, you can run them. So having stones hanging around always gives the opponent something to think about.
Nice tap here. If they can keep the red stone as backing, is going to go a long way to make sure Team Booth is not able to make those dreams come true of counting those stones in the top back 12. So it's a tap to the back 12 again, but not quite out of the rings.
Well, the way these are angled, Rory, I think the almost straight back double will go across the top of the red. She could leave herself lying 5 here.
Agreed. This will be an interesting end to watch back once the game is over, and see just how the kind of ticky-tacky half miss here, quarter shot there, resulted in Team Booth having this opportunity to really put the pressure on and stack rocks in the rings.
Well, it's one of these situations where you wish this was the last rock at the end as opposed to the second last rock at the end, because
absolutely,
this will be the situation where after all the accumulation you say, okay, great, double for 5, but even if you make this one, Selena's still got to get out of jail card. There are still stones to get behind, but great opportunity here to really ratchet up the pressure.
Sweeping this one hard, trying to keep it straight. Will overcurl the double. Will it even get a single rock? No, she chips off her own. And that was the shot that would have made this end.
It was. And unfortunately for Claire, for me, the pro miss there is a miss wide as opposed to a miss tight. miss
Had to
wide,
get rid
hit
of-
a quarter of the yellow, you know, then you're maybe going across the top of the back yellow.
Yeah, had to get rid of a yellow there. Would have been really nice to keep your shooter in the relevant scoring area as well. But they will get neither.
So that's a real let-off for Team Sturmay. Not out of the woods yet, but you'd like to think if they can wedge a third yellow stone in there, it would really neutralize any chance of a big multiple for Claire Booth. You could draw all the way to the back to those two reds in the back 8 if you chose to. So Selena can make the adjustment. Had a really heavy draw attempt to try and score 2 in the previous end. See if she can adjust that draw weight.
Still a very important shot here. Have to get something out of this.
Absolutely. Got to be third shot. Again, a
She is
little
gonna-
heavy.
Uses the backing, chips off, rolls back for what appears to be 4th shot. And I think they'll have the same double, just this time for 2.
Yeah, looking at the angles here to see if there's sort of a crazy thin across the pocket around the horn for maybe 4, but that'd be taking risk. You'd do that if you needed 4 to tie. I think it's there if they were really wanting to play it, but yep, the shot for 2 is the shot to play in this game situation.
Just not quite a triple opportunity, even if you dreamed it up. I don't think you could convince all 3 to leave the 8-foot.
I'd like to throw it.
See if you can ever squeak the top one just barely through the
I think the
hole.
top one goes across, you know, 2/3 across the top of the one behind it, and then it'll just go sideways and across the face of the third one. I think that'd be the way to make the triple if you wanted to try it, but the double's the play.
Wow, and this is really curled back. Unbelievable sweep. It's going to hit. It's going to jam. That was a tough double. You had to hit it just right. And it's going to be 1 for sure. Will they take a look at 2? No, it appears to be a score of 1 for Team Booth in the third end. We've had some wild situations so far here in Beaumont. For our sake, let's hope it keeps going that way. When we return, Sturmay will have hammer, 1 point down in the 4th.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
Back we are in Beaumont, Alberta, the Hack2House Curling Alberta Curling Series Major. We enter the fourth end of what has been a potentially lopsided game, but through 3 ends. First end, Team Booth missing a wide open draw for 2. Second end, Team Sturmay missing a fairly open draw for 2. And then in the third, Team Sturmay playing with fire. They were almost looking at 5 Booth counters on Selena's last one, but a missed double by Team Booth allows Sturmay to settle things down. It was another shot for 2, a more difficult one for Team Booth, but it was only a single. So another game, Hans, that you and I have covered where the scoreboard would indicate a kind of boring game, and it's been anything but. Getting my camera angles a little confused there. Hex the top one. Oh, Mr. Hunt, I do believe you are muted. There we go. There he is.
Back again. Sorry about that.
No. All right. I was just saying the scoreboard would indicate a bit of a boring game, single point scores, but it has actually been anything but.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Both teams have had opportunities to score multiples. Well, there have been multiple chances for multiples in every end, and Claire Booth was really loading it up there in the third. If she makes a double on her first, probably keeping a 4 or a 5 alive. Didn't quite make that, but yeah, there's been lots and lots of chances for offense, and this end shaping up in a very similar way. Lots of rocks in play is always fun for us. It's always fun for our viewers.
That's what we hope for. There's that out turn crossing the center draw path again. We can see how far that rock curled, overburied by over a stone. Stone and a half almost.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as it was coming into the rings, Rory. It's that huge late finish.
Team Sturmay opting to go for the double while it's available. Can't blame them. That center guard, though, that's the more dangerous stone, I would say, but to double these off and sit 2, just too tempting. So that's what they'll go for. Big sweep here. Just barely gets by. Rolls the opposite way as intended, but makes the shot nonetheless.
Yeah, nice shot there by Desiree House. Short double available in return, though, for Claire Booth. Sydney Libben's giving it a go. This one's going to catch the corner guard, though. Well, things pinballing everywhere, Rory. Stone just clinging onto the back of the 12-foot there.
Getting the guard, but that was a pretty big missed opportunity.
Yep.
To double those stones off and keep your center guard in place. Now we've got a stone in the back of the rings, a kind of 4-foot line guard and 2 Sturmay stones sitting along the wing. Quite doubleable. Would you ever address those angles, Hans, and maybe tap your own? Or do you
Well,
think
you got a
it's
choice now, so I think you
Yeah.
could. You're right. Those 2 yellow stones are almost doubled to automatic. There is a bit of a jam risk on the back red, but yeah, it's depending if you're thinking about 2 or if you're thinking about 3. If you're thinking about 2, hide the shot rock, accept that the opponent's probably going to double off the 2, and then you're just trading for the 2. You know, that's one way. We're still early in the end, though. You would think about moving that yellow shot. You could try a little thin split or feathering it. You could get really conservative and just try to draw to the wing wide. Take the play away entirely from that red stone.
Making an audible, bringing this stone all the way back. Nothing wrong with that. Not the ideal location they were looking for, but once you know it's deep, you may as well be all the way back so the opponent can't freeze and eliminate your other stones.
I actually kind of like that. You know, it neutralizes that stone at the back of the rings, and now if it's a jam, it's going to jam onto your own as opposed to the opponent's shot. So the yellow stone's probably going to hang around even if this one rockets one in towards it.
Looking a little thick. Sweepers try to keep it. Ends up frozen, hit and roll frozen, so did not make the shot that was called, but ends up in an okay spot. That's going to more or less eliminate the yellow stone at the back of the 12-foot.
That's
Could have
true.
got really... Go ahead.
No, sorry, Rory. I mean, here's the thing where you're saying, am I playing for 2 or am I playing for 3? So if you're playing for 3, then you do maybe try to make a little bit of a chip play on the red-yellow and get some separation and spill it and move them around a bit. But if you're happy for 2, just whip around the red, which is what they're electing to do. It's a safer play for sure. Work hard to get second shot, though.
Big snowplow sweep isn't quite enough to get there. Less than a rock away from being second shot or shot. Ooh, I don't know about this. I'm not sure I would be touching that scenario if I was Team Booth.
Well, the red-yellow's an automatic. You know you're going to get rid of the yellow, but if you're going to play this shot, you had better make a very good roll and get big separation between the 2 reds and not leave a double back.
I would be scared that the red would be bouncing out of the rings or at least the outside 12-foot.
They're pretty well frozen, so it's probably not going anywhere, and that's shooter spilling, and this is exactly the scenario now. You've basically invited Team Sturmay to score 3 with that shot decision.
I can't figure that one out. I would
it's
think
not a bad play, but you got to get the inside roll. If you're going to play that shot, you're saying, I'm going to eliminate and I'm going to roll underneath the guard and lie 2-1 covered.
Just
if you're electing to play that shot, it's a tough shot. So timing really everything, Rory, around when you play that shot. And I think from your reaction, you wouldn't have played that shot then. Maybe you play that shot on your final stone of the end, but maybe not at that point.
I just think you lucked out so well by missing the double and getting a good frozen roll to eliminate that stone in the back of the rings. And now you have Team Sturmay coming up light on their draw, and I'd be celebrating so much that that it paid off, and then now all of a sudden you've brought that stone back into relevancy. Another kind of confusing thing to me is why Sturmay wouldn't hit that thing in lie 3 right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. By this stone going to the back 12 foot, now there's a really inviting little pocket. You can just follow that one down, sit on top of it, and it's almost an automatic force.
Almost opposite world, I think.
It is kind of opposite world here.
Team Booth threw the shot I thought Sturmay should play, and Sturmay threw the shot I thought Booth should play. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm upside down here. Or that's you, Hans, on the other side of the
Yeah, that's
hemisphere.
right. I'm upside down.
Hans joining us from New Zealand. Whereabouts in New Zealand, Hans?
I'm in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand, where we are just coming into spring.
Oh, lovely.
Early summer. A great opportunity here for Team Booth to really grab control of the end.
A good draw here is going to go a long way. The line looks good. Will the weight settle? Will they take it to the back? Settles in back 4. Not a terrible position, but there might be a tap opportunity there still with how hard we've seen this outturn come around.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I'm not sure they're even looking at it, you've got a pretty natural cross-house double as well to leave yourself lying 4 if you're really wanting to go for it.
Absolutely. What would the risk of missing that be, Hans?
Well, I don't think super high, because as long as you're hitting on the inside of the top red, if you're rolling across into the 4 foot, then even if you don't make double, your second shot. But you'd make that play if you were still thinking about more than 2. I just think that the angles are there. You're going to try and throw a stone in front of that red anyways, whether you draw there or you roll there. Doesn't really much matter. Draw, you've got a higher degree of confidence that you can throw it to that spot. But, it's like the previous end when Team Booth had those stones accumulating. For me, it's always a bit of a lost opportunity when you've got the hammer not to keep a big multiple alive somehow.
Team Sturmay could be thinking, we're the higher ranked team. We should, it's the 4th end. Let's not allow a momentum shift and allow a steal in the 4th to go down 2. So they might just be thinking, hey, let's just do everything we can to make sure we're going to score at least 1.
Yeah, scoring always the most important thing with hammer.
Really nice freeze. And like here,
yeah,
bring it right to the lid of that red rock, and all of a sudden it would appear all of those outside stones that we've been thinking about all end are not to matter at this point.
Yeah, really couldn't carry it down any better than that. Perfect freeze, but still a chance for Claire Booth to lock one on top and get the force.
I want to take this opportunity to say hello to all our viewers. Thank you for chiming in on the chat. That is helpful when you notice mistakes and you notice the scoreboard is wrong or the team names are wrong. If you chime in on the chat, that really does help us draw attention to things that we need to focus on and fix. So I want to shout out to Ritasru. Not sure how I'm saying your YouTube name correctly, but thank you for chiming in and helping us out there.
Absolutely. Takes a village.
Don't want to bounce. Excellent. What
beauty.
What a well-managed stone.
Yeah, fantastic shot. Back-to-back beauties.
Now, if Selena Sturmay can throw the rock pretty hard, Hans, that cross-house double you were looking at earlier, if you threw Kevin Cooey to your weight, do you think you could get those reds flying?
Gosh, I mean, you'd have to hit the red on the button almost past the midpoint of the rock to make. I just think the angle red-yellow is just a bit too steep to think about something like that. You could, if you were happy to concede the 1, but you wanted to have a go at 2, I'd probably be thinking more red, yellow, red straight back. That's probably the best way to get 2.
That's what third Danielle Schmiemann is lining up here. The angles on the reds, those definitely will go. It is only a shot for 1. Relatively low risk. Let's see what they can make happen here with the last rock in the 4th end, an attempt at tying the game. An excellent freeze by Team Booth. He's going to put Team Sturmay in a tough scenario.
Yeah, with the angles, Rory, I still think 2's a possibility here.
It will overcurl. Unfortunately, we will not be able to find out. Oh, yes, it was a Yellowstone coming in. That's my mistake. Either way, it's a steal of 1 and a 2-point lead. Holding the momentum is Team Booth. Holding the hammer is Team Sturmay at the halfway point here in Beaumont.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Teams resume play here in Beaumont, Alberta. It is the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series major event. Weekend previously was the men's event. We had Team Dustin Kaltoff dropping the final to Germany's Sixten Totsiak. In an entertaining final battle. Who will make the final here in Beaumont women's event? We will find out later on Sunday. But first, you got to get a ticket to the dance, and that's what these teams are fighting for. It's a qualifier spot. we join the fifth end. Scoreboard will be updated in a moment, but it was a steal in the fourth for Team Booth. Playing with fire a little bit, Team Sturmay looked like they had some orbiting stones that they were looking at counting, but with a great draw around the guard, and then a freeze on Selena's responding draw. Team Booth scores a steal in the all-important fourth end. And that's where we find ourselves here in the fifth.
Back-to-back terrific freezes. Selena Sturmay made a fantastic freeze in the previous end, but then Claire Booth made an even better one. Selena tried the run back for 2, didn't make it. And that control point is swung in favor of Team Booth, and they're up 2. You had to kind of go back. Both teams have had a lot of scoring opportunities in the first half of the game, but for me, Rory, Team Booth has been more threatening, if I could put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I would say the front end for Team Sturmay has been outplaying the front end for Team Booth, it just, with some aggressive calls and some tactical sort of prowess from Skip Claire Booth, they have found a way to create danger in almost every end so far.
Absolutely right.
Just
game of chicken,
ticks.
right?
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in there, Rory, but yeah, ignoring the 2 stones on the 4-foot, saying we're going to use our corner guard anyways.
And it may have been worth it if they got around, but nope, that'll leave a hit and roll. And if Team Booth can roll this thing back to the center line, it's going to be a pretty good steal force scenario with not a lot of danger the other way. This looks pretty close. Managing the curl just right, gets the hit, and gets a nearly perfect roll. You know what? Get that nearly out of that sentence. That's a perfect roll from Team Booth.
Yeah, looking like a single stone from the delivery end, and that's a beautiful roll.
I guess if we were being super picky, you'd want to keep that right bang on the center line to eliminate any kind of triple. But no, this has been a very successful start to the fifth end for Team Booth.
It's got some curling to do.
Not a very good result. It's not going to remove any red stones. It's going to leave 2 red stones in the 4-foot, one of them in a very good steal position, top 4. And we're going to see a bit of a scoreboard call here, it would seem.
Yeah, I was thinking
Feeling
the
the
same
corner.
thing. I was thinking the same thing. Claire Booth, no hesitation, saying, here's our chance, folks. Lose this corner guard. Keep everything in the rings.
I'm sure she is tempted to guard those really good-looking red stones down the center line, but especially for a young team, might have her coach's voice screaming through her head, peel, Claire, you're up 2.
Well, the corner guard is the danger shot. This one, unfortunately, I think is going, well, is she going to cover her own? Didn't really want to leave a front stone, but if you're going to leave a front stone, you're covering the shot. Jams on the back, though, leaving that yellow one in play.
I'm pretty sure I did see, I'm not sure exactly, they may have just been catching rocks, but I almost thought I saw a kind of tennis tier apology. Sorry, that's not what we intended to do. Even if she didn't, I think it's, a little bit of a happy mistake Good sweep the whole way down by the front end to make sure that that stone rolled off the wing.
Yeah,
Oh.
if you're going to have a guard, if you're Team Booth, you want it to be a center guard, and you want it to be your own stone. So good result, neutralizing the corner guard. So bringing the play right back into the middle.
Making 3 Red Rocks move here would go a long way to regaining control of not only this end, but this game for Team Sturmay, who's been on a couple end sort of on the wrong side of luck and on the wrong side of momentum. So they need a big one at some point. Why not now?
Still chasing, even if she gets 3 reds in motion. The force is still going to be on here.
And it was high time for some luck for Team Sturmay. Hit that stone on the opposite side they were intending, but still got red stones moving. It is a center guard, but it's nice and low, quite easily run-inable. Team Sturmay, unfortunately though, the 2 reds that they moved didn't quite get to a point where the yellow stone at the back is going to be shot rock. So shot 1 and 2 for Team Booth. In the hack, throwing a draw around the center guard. Still feeling pretty good, Team Booth, about how this end is going.
Very much so. Jamie Scott going to be flirting with that center stone though. This one's over curling. Actually curled across the face entirely of the guard stone. Looks like the play is going to be to hit shot rock and roll behind the pile.
Might have a double in mind here, Hans.
Thin double's definitely there. But even
You
rolling
definitely-
behind cover is definitely bringing 3 back into the equation for Team Sturmay.
Yeah, you really cannot afford to lose this shooter. This shooter's got to stay in the ring somewhere, somehow. Looks like Selena's changed her mind. Was it too late? Had the curl sweep going 3/4 of the way down and then changed her mind at the very end. May have underestimated.
At some point you're thinking thin double and then you're thinking, okay, play for the roll. So yes, the AB on the line call is always tough. Got it half hidden. The amount of curl that we've seen, Rory, you'd have to think that is still accessible with tap weight. Be just as happy to sit right on top of it. So let's see if Jamie Scott over curled on her first attempt can redeem with this draw. Again, coming up light and it's over curling. So it's not a good end for Jamie, unfortunately for her.
Yeah, 2 misses. These rocks are not super lined up. You could maybe hit them straight back, but I don't think they would ever go to the button.
Well, now it's definitely a green light situation for Team Sturmay. You got all kinds of room in the scoring area. You've got stones up front. You got shot rock. You've got a tappable stone. You can go around it. You can promote it. You got lots of options all of a sudden. You get the feeling that Claire will want to use those front stones and draw around it. So if you are going to make a promotion play or a come around, you feeling like you're going to need to be full 4 foot at least.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of discussion for Team Sturmay. They're really looking hard at this center guard. Of course, other options would include drawing around.
Yeah, I think in this situation, I'm probably electing the draw around.
They seem pretty concerned about the way those reds are lined up. They keep tapping the second red and seem to be making it a priority to move that thing out of the way. I'm not exactly sure how dangerous those two are.
Yeah, looking at this angle, it looks like the two reds are angled to go across the top of the shot rock at the back. And if you stick your own front 4 foot, it's not really a factor anyways. So, yeah, you need to be mindful of that, but I agree, it's not the highest danger priority. I'd rather make them look at two fully guarded.
Some frustration maybe setting in here. Team Sturmay not comfortable being down 2 with only 4 ends to play. They might be trying to make a lot happen here. Yeah.
Well, whether it's draw or tap or split, if you're lying 2 after this, you are keeping 3 alive. So, question about what do you feel most confident in?
They're going to miss the target stone entirely. Going to get lucky and
wow,
smash the back one on the nose.
That was fortunate, and that is potentially an end changer actually sticking around there at the back, because now Claire Booth has to factor in that it's a really inviting 4 foot area, lots of cover, but look at all those yellow stones that have accumulated. One little half miss, and then you could be dropping a bundle.
You hear commentators on TV talk all the time about the commentator's curse and all this stuff, and I always thought that they're just trying to be cute and self-reference, but are we affecting metaphysical reality here in Beaumont, Alberta? Because at the start of this end, I did say Sturmay was on the sour side of the luck scale, and we've seen a couple lucky results so far.
Well, you know, curling karma is probably a thing, and it evens up eventually, so who knows, but all we do know right now is with 2 stones to come, Claire Booth has got a lot to worry about. The opponent's got the hammer, and she's lying 2 for sure, and looks like 3. You've got 2 reds, and you've got a pocket there to use, and she should be remembering the excellent freeze that she threw in the 4th end, so she's got draw weight. And I think this is the right call. Go around the pile, leave a good angle. If you could leave yourself front button, even if you showed a quarter, as long as it's angled to run back in on the stone in the back 8 foot, you can neutralize a lot of options for Sturmay. Sounds easy though, you got to throw it to a spot. It's a tough shot, but
just so many jam opportunities back there. It's going to be really good to get one sitting there. Can't forget, though, that low center guard. You can still get to the nose of it for Team Sturmay. That's a run back that might be for a bundle.
It could very well be. That's why it's quite important to get this stone fully behind cover and actually over curl the yellow. Front guard.
Line looks really nice. Can the sweepers put this in the perfect spot? They were sweeping it really, really hard right up until the 8 foot. I think they may have just got a little excited with that one.
I think so. I mean, if you leave that stone 1 stone further forward than it actually sat, the run back on the yellow becomes really dangerous for Selena Sturmay. By going that little bit deeper, it overcurled the front guard stone. So in terms of the line, fantastic shot. And as I said, if that stone's another rock further forward, angles are not great for Sturmay. Angles are not easy here, but a little bit more room at the back on the run back attempt now because it's come so deep. a great draw by Claire.
Playing the rung back now. Wasn't able to make it happen. I feel like they may have cashed that in a little early. There was lots of opportunity to follow that red rock down. Make a freeze or maybe even put it top 4. You'd have a good opportunity at 2 or more that way. But they cash in the run back now. Miss it. And now once again, Claire Booth getting in the hack with a really big opportunity to choke away the scoring area and perhaps even steal another point.
Yeah, I didn't mind Selena trying the run on that shot. It was definitely there and available for her, and you never know when you're going to get another chance to do it. You've only got one to come, so I didn't mind the attempted run, but yeah, great opportunity for Claire Booth here and really down the exact same path that she just threw. Perfect here, 3/4 buried, front 4-foot.
Line looks really good. It's up to the sweepers now to leave this in a perfect spot. Don't want to over curl. That is pretty darn good.
Pretty much how I described it. 3/4 buried, front 4-foot. That is an awesome shot. No double opportunity for Sturmay, so no choice but to draw for the button for 1 against 2 full 4-foot. Great shot from Claire Booth.
I mean, outside of that missed double in the first end, Claire, I think, has been the best player on the ice.
Yep, she has, of all the athletes on the ice, she's got both line and weight dialed in on her draws. So yeah,
Always helps to have a hot skip.
can cover a multitude of sins, can't it? Huge shot.
Yep, massive shot, keeping the game within reach. Selena Sturmay and her front end. Gonna need a point here. Line looks good. Sweepers using the backing. Line call is there. Chips the front. Settles into the button. Reminiscent of Brad Gushu's Grand Slam win in April against Joel Retorna, as the Sweepers made a perfect wake call. Working with the third, they knew they needed a chip. They get that chip. It's a massive point for Team Sturmay. They'll still trail by a single point without Hammer in the 6th when we return.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Gripper first.
Don't forget your brooms.
Yep, you got it.
Come on. Okay, well, what do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one little, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
Welcome back to Beaumont, Alberta. the Hack2House Curling Stadium Alberta Major Series. That's a lot of words. I don't think I got that right. But either way,
Alberta, it's curling, it's series. No, it's the Alberta Curling Series Women's Major.
boom, there it is. There it is. Either way, I'm flabbergasted at the amount of excitement in this game we have between Team Booth, Team Sturmay. Team Booth putting the gears to them. A couple of big steals have given them the advantage here. A 1 point with hammer advantage in the all-important 6th end. We didn't see that first rock come in, Hans, but you got to think that was a guard that came deep.
You'd have to think so. If your Team Sturmay here, 1 down without playing 6, 3 ends to play, you'd be thinking, well, you don't really think in force in this situation. You're more thinking steal, and so you would be thinking a guard rather than a stone in the rings. But we haven't seen a crooked number on the scoreboard yet, Rory, and yet we've had opportunities in every single end for not only multiples, but 3s, 4s, 5s were brewing in some cases, but we haven't seen a 2 or a 3 hung on the scoreboard yet. But Claire Booth with the hammer here in 6, corner guard up, and a 2 in this end would be huge for them as we head for the finish line. Gained control of this game with the steal in the 4th. And then Rory and I were speaking between the ends, and I called the 5th end an all-world force. Just an absolutely perfect final draw from Claire Booth, forcing Selena Sturmay to have to draw the lid just to salvage a point. It was a terrific, terrific end.
For sure it was. Not the first time she's pulled out a money draw in this game. Team Sturmay will have to come up with an answer for Claire Booth's drawing prowess so far today.
Nice guard there from Paige Papley. It was maybe a bit backwards. Throw it in and then throw the guard.
Yeah, Team Booth choosing not to hit that stone that came into the rings. Instead, doing their own thing, getting their corner guard going, playing this more like a tie game scenario, which I respect. A deuce here would go a long way in making the rest of the shots for the rest of the game more straightforward. So they're approaching this 6th end like we want a multiple score.
Nice shot here from Sophie Brissett, using her own corner guard and hiding this one perfectly.
Yeah, overburied if anything, but that's the right side you want to show if you're going to show. And the 100%. Depth, we'll take a look. Yeah, nearly perfect depth. So really nice pair.
Game well and truly on here in the 6th. Desiree Hans lining it up.
Trying to get the line just perfect.
No. Over curls, covers a piece of the center line. Has it over curled enough that Claire Booth can have a think about running it across the top. Looks like she's content to play the top stone. I think that's wise.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why the Sturmay team played the wide intern.
Just looking to stack them up maybe, Rory, but it's definitely peel time for Team Booth.
Fifth rock at the end. Gets 1, gets 2, gets 3 rocks moving. Effectively replaces a yellow in the rings. I don't think they were trying to come across the face of that. I couldn't quite see the call.
Well, gets the job done, clears the front. leaves reds on the corners, leaves reds, and as we look at the overhead now, yellow's still shot, but not by much. 8 foot wide open, so good result, I think, for Team Booth on that shot. Good to have your options if you're Claire Booth in this situation. Of course, you want two. But if things manage to just stay open and stay clear, the blank's not the end of the world either. Throwing perfect guards with the rocks moving this much is really tough. It's pretty good. And we can see Claire Booth saying, "Can you see any of that? Because if we can see any of that, I might have a dig at it." And that's exactly what she's calling. And thinking better of it and saying, "Wait a minute, we got the hammer here." Peel. A teaser. Sydney Libbins having a run at the front. Nicely done.
Yeah, keeping the shots obvious and simple. Team Booth with on the strength of those front end stones, the lead, putting their guard and their draw in a really nice spot. Team Booth is only one shot away, and I guess one half miss away from having a shot at two here in 6.
Yeah,
they just
pretty
keep
low,
things simple.
Exactly that, Rory. Yeah, low risk too is the best possible scenario for Team Booth here. They know how difficult it is to make perfect guards as well. So it's a patience game, really. So keep making perfect guards. We know it's hard. Maybe one of these times you're going to leave it half open instead of a quarter open. That is an excellent guard. Maybe a fraction more of the target stone available on the in-turn side for the right-handers. So a change of gears here from Claire Booth. Looks like she is going to try and play the dig on this shot. Not sure I love the call, Rory, to be honest.
No, we've got a kind of a medium guard. I feel like this is worth another few cracks at a double attempt, maybe run back type thing, but with how it's curling, it's definitely possible. This looks close.
Well, feathering the front is fatal, and this is exactly what they're going to do. Fortunately, pushes it across and not in the ring, so gets away with it. So that's effectively a clear. Gets the job done.
Yeah, as long as you miss by a good few inches and not just half an inch.
Right. Problem for Selena about guarding that stone that's just biting front 8. You got to do it, but you know that, that's not a steal point. That's a force point at best. 8 foot's wide open. So you got to protect it, but in your heart, your opponent's probably still going to score.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle for Team Sturmay. The analytics are not in their favor. They'll have to effectively win or tie every end, including this one. A tie being a force, I suppose.
And there, finally, the patience paying off for Claire Booth, because now shot rock very accessible, half open.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb in both men's and women's curling the whole peel, replace guard game, it's much tougher to replace a specific guard on a specific stone than it is to peel it off. So if you keep working at it, you're more likely to get a miss from the team guarding the stone. So patience pays off here, like you said. And this is a good looking stone.
You know it should finish.
Yeah, gets the hit. Nice little roll. It's gonna roll really nice right behind a guard. And now, no hesitation, Team Sturmay. They know this 6th end is just too important. It's not enough to play defensive and give Team Booth an open deuce. They must keep pushing play, and they will have to come behind this center guard.
Yeah, you're kind of all in at this point, but this is, the red light's flashing here. Because even if you make this perfect, we've seen the amount of curl, so it might be possible for Claire to come and chip it out, even if you hide it well. You've got the 2 red stones on angles that are potential run-ins for Claire, so you got to play this shot if you're Selena, no doubt. But even if you make great, you're not necessarily out of the woods.
Totally. It's going to take 2 really good shots from Selena, and we'll have to hope for a uncharacteristic miss from Claire Booth in order to get their steal.
To hide this perfect, you're going to have to leave it reasonably high in the rings, probably front 4. Because it curls so much at the end. Really waiting for this one. Now they're going to go.
Little hook at the end gets it perfectly buried, just behind the tee line, however. And that's going to be enough of a mistake that it might hurt the chances of stealing.
Yeah, big decision now for Claire Booth. She's lining up the run back. I'm not convinced that the outturn hack weight shot isn't there and that would curl enough to get to the shooter and pick it out.
Oh, I think
curled and you tick the front.
Even a soft board weight, if your priority is just getting rid of the yellow stone,
yeah,
I think you get a third of a rock with, almost any soft weight hit weight that you choose.
Yep, I think so too. And then you kind of keep an option, a 2-for-1 option here. This is a long run.
It is, and no matter what way you make it, your shooter is going to stay in front of the rings. Team Sturmay is going to be able to draw around it no matter what. So,
yeah,
I think this is just a little bit. They got the blinders on right now because that outturn we've seen it curl like crazy into that center line.
Yep.
Here it is. Big shot here. Claire Booth attempting a run back. Sets that back towards the broom. Will it come back? Here it comes. What incredible curl. Oh, so unfortunate. They will stuff that stone directly backwards.
Yeah, that's a bad break for Claire Booth. But always a risk when you're running a stone back. That's one of the things that can happen.
The jump on that stone was remarkable. That had a full normal up hit weight, and it just ripped back towards the center line.
Yeah, and this now a chance for Selena Sturmay to really turn the game on its head. If she can weld this thing right on the nose of her shot rock, steal of 2 is on, and then she could just grab control of the game. So that stuff run back really opening the door for Team Sturmay here to really, 5-point swing. This is looking like a 3 for Booth, and all of a sudden now a chance for a steal for 2 if she can weld this one in here.
Last stone for Selena Sturmay. And I don't think it gets better than that, Hans.
It doesn't, and now kind of makes the shot choice easy for Claire Booth. It is the run, it is the blast, but with that stone wedged in there, just delivered by Selena. Potential shot for 2 here, but really tough. To get 2, you'd have to go across the top of the top stone really thin and hope that it would squirt out the side door.
This will have to be coming
from Selena.
It's have to be coming a million miles an hour to make that happen.
Yep, no doubt.
So we should see some heat here from Team Booth, and if Sturmay was able to steal 1 or even 2, what a great bounce back. It's been a skipper's battle so far in this game. Let's see what magic Claire Booth has up her sleeve. This looks real close. Sends it back, gets 1. That's actually a really nice shot just to hold Team Sturmay to a single point. Great display of shot making, especially from the skips here in Beaumont. It's going to be a tie game. Team Booth with hammer in the 7th.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, Bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
What an incredible game we've had so far. It is the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Women's Major. Booth and Sturmay duking it out end after end. Some incredible shot making from the skips we saw in the 6th.
Absolutely. Selena Sturmay setting up that steal with a fantastic final stone. Whipping one around the guard, sitting right on top of her own shot rock. Leaving Claire Booth the run back, but the run back, because of that great shot from Selena, was always going to jam. It did, steal a 1-tie game. Anybody's game now. Changes the dynamic a lot for Claire. Going from the 6th end where you're thinking, okay, we're 1 up. If we score, we're 2 up, 2 to play. Now, after dropping the steal, changes the dynamic entirely. You've got the hammer, you're tied. Scoring 1 is no good. Scoring 2, like enough. So it changes that. Yellow across the top of yellow will probably spring off the red on the tee line. So if that is the path, rocks could be flying everywhere here. Clears the front, rearranges things a little bit in the forefoot.
Yeah, for how close that was, it was very interesting how little stones kind of flew backwards. I think Sturmay is still pretty happy with this scenario.
Yeah, you've got your stone in the front of the button kind of controlling and dictating things, but you are a little bit wary.
I don't see how you get that rock out with one shot without leaving what's about to be a center guard there just for Sturmay to make a better one. So I think this kind of pocket in the back forefoot, really, unless Team Booth can make some doubles in short order, it's here to stay. So that's exactly what the team without hammer would want to see, as long as they know that they're going to play moderately aggressive and keep stones in front.
Yeah, if you're Team Sturmay, you want to show the outside of the rock here with this guard if you can, because that is the better jam angle. I'm going to come right into it and actually tap and promote it, and that makes it even better. So that's a good result. And now, if you're Team Booth, you're going to have to address this situation. You can't really leave it sitting on these angles, so you're going to have to sacrifice the backstone here.
I thought Team Sturmay would be throwing a center guard there instead of giving an opportunity again for some bunched stones and a chance to move a lot of them at once.
Yeah, bringing it into the rings for Team Sturmay certainly changes the shot calculation for Claire Booth, and now instead of ticky-tackying around guards, you can just blast.
This is looking pretty nosy. 1-1. Yeah, and they are able to clear the yellows out again.
Yep.
I was wondering why Sturmay would leave them that opportunity. Now you've got two red stones with quite a bit of separation.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great shot from Jamie Scott, and does change the dynamics of the end a lot. And that was always the risk, bringing that stone into the rings as opposed to leaving it short, as you said, Rory. You're just saying to the opponent, hit something.
Yeah, go ahead. Green light. So, Team Sturmay hoping to lie to for the remainder of the end and get a force that way. Tough to see them eliminating all of the red stones at any point.
Yeah.
Have to roll out or something.
Yeah, multiple still very much alive for Team Booth. Good shot.
Hits and sticks. There's a double. It's quite thin. Yeah, they'll signal a hit and roll. That is a fine shot. That will force Team Booth to make a roll here. Unless they do, it's going to be another guard or draw, I would think, from Team Sturmay, as we're inching closer and closer to the end of this seventh end.
Jamie Scott with a nice hit on her previous stone. Tougher shot here, hitting and rolling to a pretty precise spot. Not far away.
Looks pretty good. Can they get a little more curl out of this? Just a little bit of a flop. And geez, would you ever take on this double knowing you would leave a double back? Creating a blank end scenario for Team Booth.
Yeah, it's tempting. It's sort of looking right at you, and it's a pretty natural angle, and so your instinct says, all right, a way to eliminate three, make the double. But, as you said, Rory, creates a pretty natural double straight back and a blank opportunity. So Paige Papley will come up to join the conversation and perhaps just remind the back end, what were we trying to do here? Are we trying to force? Are we trying to steal?
As a skip, you're susceptible to tunnel vision and all sorts of little psychological traps. No matter how mentally tough you are, they're going to sneak into your head. So I like that point you made, Hans. It is good to have someone on the team just kind of bringing you back to basics, back to the fundamentals of what you were trying to do that end. And even if you're not saying much, sometimes just your presence in the house and in the guard zone is enough to remind your third and skip.
Why is the front end here? Oh, what are we missing?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's pretty likely you're hitting a red. That's not really the debate. It's which one are you hitting?
Not sure there's a wrong call here.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong call here either. It's just execution tolerance. Which ones, if we make, is going to make it harder for them. And it looks like the decision is to play the stone biting the forefoot. Papley's jumping this one immediately for curl. That one looked a little inside out, but now it's making a move.
I think it was a nice weight control, allowing the sweepers to do something with it. Not a terrible spot to roll. It still will over-roll.
Good chance here, though, for the legendary skips pair. You got stones at T-line and behind. There's a pocket to use if you want. You got a short run if you want to play it now. Keep blank alive. So really down to what Claire's feeling here in this situation.
Looks like they're going for the natural move.
Straight back double.
Should leave good separation between your two red stones if it's made.
Just as we were saying with the other shot choice, Rory, that straight back double, if made, will leave a double straight back. Don't mind the call. I mean, this definitely keeps it 2 alive. But if you were in the mindset of thinking we must score 2 as opposed to it would be nice to score 2, maybe you'd be thinking freeze. A little speed wobble out of the hack there. Good correction.
Waiting for this to move. Claire's 7-stone has moved quite significantly on her hits. It will curl. We'll get the first one. Not quite the second one, but it's definitely enough to make Team Sturmay sweat a little bit. Because now they will have to eliminate a red stone if they don't want to give up 3.
No, you're right about that 7 rock for Claire. That one really snapped. They were actually holding off sweeping, and in the end it over curled.
Yeah, we saw that in the 6th end as well on her run back attempt, and then there was another shot coming home. I think it was in the 4th where that 7 rock really went crazy. All of those being in-turn hits, so it could be something that she's doing with her release. But it's a skill curlers have had to learn. Watching, tracking rocks, and when you see something funny, instead of just shrugging it off and going, oh, that was a little weird, it's a necessary skill now. You have to compare that to your previous throws, your other stones, and oftentimes it is a stone or something that you really should be tracking and considering.
Well, absolutely right, Rory. I used to say that to my teams all the time. If you see something, believe it. And if you see something moving or you're seeing something that looks like a little bit of a different run, a different place in the ice, you don't just shrug it off as something that was a bit weird. You just sort of believe it.
Mm-hmm. And let's conveniently not talk about all the times where we incorrectly identify something strange.
Well, then that's a skill issue, isn't it? But here's a great chance for Sturmay. She does have to make a play at Shot Rock here.
Yeah, good roll could go a long way. Once again, a great skipper's duel to end this 7th end. Last shot for Selena Sturmay, trying to make things difficult for Team Booth on their final stone. This is over curling a bit. It gets the hit. It rolls, and oh, just that last little hook in, I think, saved them from a really easy open double takeout. But Team Booth is still going to have this bash back double just off nose for 2 points in the 7th.
Yep, that was a nice shot from Sturmay and a great sweep from Paige Papley to hold line, because halfway down, I think that's over curling. That's not even going to stick around for third shot. So it was a really good sweep to save.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
well deserved.
Yeah, very well deserved. But shot for 2 here, tough one, but makeable. For me on line call, you're thinking nose and take it from there.
Throw is out, a curl sweep and a straight sweep. They go back and forth. It looks really close. Will they hold it? Back, gets 1, gets 2. An excellent run back double. Claire Booth, the skipper's battle continues between herself and Selena Sturmay. It's going to be a 2-point lead for Team Booth. Team Sturmay will have to answer big in the 8th if they want to advance on here in the C bracket at the Hack2House.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
Hack2House Alberta Curling Series, women's major event here in Beaumont, Alberta. It's been a thrilling game. We have had the pleasure of calling between Team Sturmay, Team Booth, and although there's been lots of shots made and missed across the ice, the skip battle stands out to me for this one, Hans.
No, I agree, Rory. It's been really entertaining. Claire Booth with a fantastic raised double for the 2 there, and she's made some fantastic shots, as has Selena. Selena making 2 great shots to set up big steal in the 6th to get them back in the game, and then Claire Booth coming right back with a fantastic shot of her own in 7. So heading for the finish line, it still feels like anybody's game. Sturmay trying to take us into extras.
Can't help but notice, Hans, once again on this sheet 2, you and I have covered this. This is our second game on this sheet. That out-turn draw across the center line, over curling by 2 feet. It seems to be tricking teams constantly. They can't quite keep up with it.
Yeah, big late finish, but Claire, I think, really just happy to have stones in the rings and make Team Sturmay come at them. Not surprisingly, after setting a corner guard, Selena says, let's use it.
Nice follow-up shot, I should say, by the lead Sophie Brissett on Team Bruth. Makes the adjustment, puts her rock right on the center line. So good adjustment after the first one. Very loud out on the ice. I think we can hear that from the ambient microphones. The stakes are getting higher. You know, teams are, they know if they lose, they're going home, and the games enter the 7th and 8th ends. The sweep calls just get a little higher pitch, a little louder.
Oh, yeah.
I can see Desiree Hawes kind of cupping her mouth to make sure that her skip heard the weight call.
Yeah, when you're fighting for your tournament life, everything kind of ratchets up a little bit. Nice draw around the corner guard, showing a corner of it, but still in the free guard zone part of the end. Claire thought about having a dig and then thought better.
Yeah, this is the 5-rock rule. When it was first introduced, you know, as any rule change in any sport, there's a lot of, oh, you know, is it really going to be that much better? You know, I think it's pretty, the consensus is pretty positive. We're going to see an exciting end because this rock is not ripping down the sheet, hitting something. This extra stone really ensures that both teams have to keep fighting throughout the entire end to try and secure their victory.
Completely agree. Good angle on that stone just delivered, because if Selena decides to hit and roll, that's jamming all day.
Jamming all day, but, you know, staying in the back 4 foot, so there still is a chance to eliminate what are the 2 most dangerous stones on the sheet right now, which are these stones biting the center line. So not a perfect result from that draw, I wouldn't think.
No, certainly not perfect, but Claire is forcing Selena to play stones away from the corner guard.
Very true. Good point. Name of the game here is to keep yellow stones in the rings. What you do with the red ones is a little bit of a bonus. Just got to keep those yellow stones in the conversation. And this will do just that. Just off nose, moves 3 stones, eliminates 2 of them. And now we have 2 yellow stones in the rings, 1 of them undercover. No real obvious double opportunity. I guess with a good weight, you might be there, but it's a nice shot from Desiree Hawes.
It is a nice shot. Maybe not a double opportunity, but she could probably get enough inside roll to at least corner freeze the shot rock, which wouldn't be terrible.
It's another sweep call by Selena where she kind of went back and forth between curl sweep and straight sweep, and as it turned out, they needed that rock to stay a little straighter at the end.
I think so. I mean, that red stone in the back 4 foot is still a factor. If I navigate past this one, risk of a jam. This one may indeed jam.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. That was the only thing you couldn't do. The Yellowstone does not leave the rings.
Yeah, and that changes the dynamics of the end 180 degrees just right there, because now Selena in a situation where you execute this shot, you don't want to say 2's automatic, but it's looking really strong, and now you can think about trying to win.
Just with the way this game has gone, Hans, I just know it's going to come down to a duel between skips in the last 4 rocks of this end.
Well, the entire game has gone that way, hasn't it, Rory? So no reason to think it won't happen again here in the 8th.
Getting greedy with this roll. They'll make contact. They will not avoid their own, although it sticks around in the rings.
Jeepers.
Risk paid off. That was a little scary, but you know, Skip Selena Sturmay knew the utmost value of getting that stone buried, and now you're looking at a real scary scenario if you're Team Booth.
Yeah, fantastic result for Team Sturmay. Massive, massive separation. No choice really for Claire other than to run the corner. You're really looking for bonus points on this one. It's not a straight clear. You're looking to hit a little bit 3/4 on the outside, and you want to get some action on those stones in the front 12 foot behind it.
Vice skip Jamie Scott has had quite a few impressive hits so far today. Some ends with 2 mistakes in a row that have come back to bite them, but she certainly has the ability to make rocks move. She'll get one. Oh, and just blows by the second one's. Real close attempt.
Yeah, so a successful clear, but really wanted to get some action on the stones in the rings, whether it's the one in the back or the ones in the front. And so now Selena Sturmay, almost an embarrassment of riches. You've got the game-winning situation right here, and you'd love to just be able to throw one guard and then survive that, but she's going to have to throw 2 or 3. And at some point, the way those 2 stones in the front 12 are overlapped, if it comes to it, Claire might have to think about going around those for a saver, but we're still some stones away from that situation.
These are the things you're considering in your mind, though, as a skip. You have to sort of start visualizing that kind of thing. Keeping track of draw paths such as this one, because you're right. With 3 opponent stones in the rings and a guard coming down the ice, a game-saving draw might be the only option.
At some point, you got to size it up and change gears, and now you're doing the math. If you're Claire, you're thinking, all right, 2 gets us an extra, right? We can still get to victory if we can confidently force Selena to score only 2. But right now, you got 3 in the rings, 2 guarded. You clear the front. If you don't get any action on the stones on the rings on this shot, then on your following shot, maybe you have to think about something different.
Fairly tightly grouped together. It'll be a similar spot in the ice. Jamie Scott will have another opportunity to get rid of some yellow stones. This time it's a straight sweep. Will they be able to hold it? Goes back. 2 stones leave the rings. And the guard will as well. It's an end-saving shot from vice skip Jamie Scott.
And that was an absolute beauty, and exactly when they needed it. The 2 still very much on for Team Sturmay, but that reduces the risk of a game losing 3 massively. Nearly jammed the stone at the back, but just squeaked by it. Terrific shot. Great result.
Big sweep to get this by. Oh, and it just ticks. It just ticks the guard. We've seen that a few times today.
Really tough to hold the line once they start to go on draw weight. The dreaded feather.
Well, if we get our protractor out, hit and roll here at about 30 degrees. You'd hope for a little bit of a roll back from Team Sturmay, and then perhaps Claire Booth will have a double to end the game. That's what she's got to be thinking is the goal here. But the key to all of this is keeping your stone in the 8 foot. You have to keep the shooter around in a good spot here, hopefully across the center line. And that's what that's the plan will be here.
No, that's right, Rory. Rolling underneath the corner guard doesn't help you at all because you would not be shot rock. So I agree. Trying to roll it back to the middle here somewhere. but you do need to save this shooter.
Looks pretty close. Man, does that curl hard.
Wow, does it ever. Good shot.
They'll roll it back to center, but, you know, I think there still is a hit and roll behind the corner without jamming on your own. That's what you're trying to avoid if you're Team Booth. Got to think even a hit and stick from Team Sturmay is going to be not a terrible result.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in the back of your mind, you think, can we still win this game somehow? Can we hide here and gamble and still score 2, but maybe keep 3 alive? And not really realistic. I mean, you could really gamble and choose to ignore shot rock and go around the corner yourself, but that's, I wouldn't quite say suicidal, but it's super high risk. 2 down coming in here, you'd be thinking, if we can get ourselves to an extra, are we happy? And you'd be saying, yep, and I'd take that right now. So making a play on the shot rock is the play. The question is, where do you want to leave the roll?
Selena Sturmay's first stone here in the 8th. Hoping to score at least 2 to keep this game alive. They'll want to get a little bit of a roll to not leave a double. They'll hit, they'll roll. I think they just got far enough that there will not be a double opportunity.
Yep, I agree.
Maybe if you just squeak it by the corner guard, but you just can't take that risk on.
No, I completely agree, Rory. That rolled just enough to negate the double. So we could see Claire with her instructions before she headed back down to the delivery end, sort of patting onto the center line. Just hit and roll it back and make her hit and stick for the extra.
Just excellent focus, purpose, concentration that we've seen from Claire Booth this game. It's been exemplary. She's had a very good game out here. Her precision's been right on. She's been at least very close on all her attempts, and you know what, especially the hitting game. I can't really remember her missing one besides that double in the very first end. But a hit and flop, making Selena's shot a little tougher. That will be the goal. This needs to curl, and there it goes. Hits, rolls. It is shot rock. About as good as she could do.
Exactly that. Does force Selena to make a pass at it that will not be a nose hit. Every time you take the striking path off of nose, you increase the chance of a thinner hit and the spill off the ring. So, yep, Claire could not have done much better than she did with that shot.
Well, extras seems appropriate for a game that's been so back and forth. Huge opportunities for each team. There was a 2-point lead at one point for Team Booth, 1 up with Hammer, but Team Sturmay fought hard for a steal in the 6th. Gave up 2 in the 7th, but now a shot to get 2 right back. Paige Papley fighting hard to keep this one straight. Is this going to jam? Gets the red. Brushes by the yellow.
Wow.
And it hangs on just by half a rock. Another huge end-to-end sweep by Paige Papley. It's going to tie this game up. We're headed to extras here in Beaumont.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, Join the revolution.
We are back in Beaumont. Extra ends of what's been a thrilling battle between Team Booth, Team Sturmay. Team Booth putting the pressure on in earlier ends. Were able to manufacture a few steals. They almost scored a pile in the first end. Had Team Sturmay on the ropes, but after the break, it was the fifth end where Team Sturmay, or sorry, the sixth end where Team Sturmay was finally able to get a steal back of their own. Gave up 2 in the 7th, but refused to lay down. Scored 2 of their own in the 8th end, and now, very appropriately, we enter an extra end to decide this one.
Yeah, really nothing to separate the teams. Both have had a steal. Both have scored 2. Both have had opportunities. Terrific sweep on that final stone by Paige Papley to just keep that back stone in play and to force this extra end. So Team Booth with the hammer and the extra, but it's been a super entertaining game.
It's a perfect start. Tight center guard, right on the center line. Keeping those guards on the center line has been a bit of a challenge in Beaumont. Lots of bite on the rocks, big curl on the ice. She'll accomplish that this time.
Sitting on the center line for a little extra protection for that center guard. Booth will try to come around it, but needs to make sure that she's giving a lot of clearance.
Now this has got
rings.
Sticks around, and even though it's outside of the kind of 4-foot area, that stone may end up being relevant if Team Booth can ever clear out the center line.
Yep, could be a saver. Could be something that Sturmay could use. Will definitely be a factor. Every rock in play. Potentially usable by either team here.
So not only does Team Booth have the last rock advantage, they're able to get away with some misses a little bit more. So if that was a Sturmay stone that ended up in the back 12, it's utterly useless. It's totally irrelevant. But since Booth has the hammer, that one could still end up being a big factor in the end.
Well, that's the nice thing about an extra end scenario. From a strategic point of view for either team, whether you're trying to score or whether you're trying to steal. It's all about 1 point. So your thinking goes entirely differently than it normally does when you've got hammer, when you're trying to think about 2s and 3s. In this situation, it's all about scoring, and 1 is plenty.
Well, we were talking yesterday about the rise of the importance of lead rock throwers. In this extra end, you need 2 real good shots, and that's exactly what they've gotten from Paige Papley. 2 center guards with tons of separation. Just what they needed. Now, on the contrary, lead for Team Booth, not being able to make the adjustment there.
Yeah, Sophie just a little deep with both of her draws, good line. But 4 rocks in. If you're drawing it up for Team Sturmay in terms of, okay, we're trying to steal this thing. What would we like the alignment to set like? Well, 2 center guards and 2 of their stones in the back ring that we might be able to use. That's about as good as it gets. This stone, if it can get into a good place, something that you can build the rest of the end around potentially. That's a beauty.
You've
Perfect.
make it 3 shots in a row for Team Sturmay.
Yeah, couldn't be better. Perfectly guarded. Front of the pin. You know, Sydney Libbins, we've seen her make some nice clears. Now she's needing to think about double clear here.
Gotta throw a lot of weight and a lot of rotation to make sure her shooter spills off as much as possible. This looks really close. She'll make 1 move, 2 move. 2 yellows leave the field of play. She will leave her shooter up front, but that is a definite improvement.
Absolutely. Great shot. Even though that red stone is guarding the shot rock, we've seen how much the rocks move, so the yellow shot rock is effectively close to wide open in terms of being able to get at it and move it out of the rings. Patience game for Team Sturmay, though. You're still looking to defend it.
Center line is the target, and center line is where there will be 4 shots in a row made by Team Sturmay. You know what? I'm not sure. Getting rid of 1 stone, the red at the top, I don't know if that's enough.
Well, you almost have to think about running it straight back if you're going to make a play at the front red.
Agreed. Well, looks like they were going for the single peel. It's going to settle in the in-turn draw path, and things slipping away from Team Booth a little bit here.
Yep, you're chasing, and it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal when you're chasing guarded stones. You're ideally trying to move 2 stones with 1 shot, and if you only move 1, it's like a wasted opportunity. So Selena Sturmay, no doubt about the call here. Defend, defend, defend. Got your potential game winner sitting right on the front of the pin.
High guard from Danielle Schmiemann. 3rd and skip being asked to throw high guards. It's a bit of a daunting task. It's just not a shot you throw very often. Looks like her weight's close.
See how close it came to that red guard stone, and look how much it finishes.
Yeah, wow. And I guess that stone's, a little deeper than they wanted, but I'm going to call that a made shot. That's 5 shots in a row made by Team Sturmay, and now Team Booth looking at a scenario that, the exact same scenario they were looking at a few rocks before. So some ground needing to be made up.
Yeah, huge shot here for Jamie Scott. Double clear here would go a long way for Claire Booth's chances of winning this game.
She saved the 8th end with a run double. Let's see if she can do the same here in the 9th. The extra end gets 1 moving. Oh, just breezes by the second rock in the top 12.
They were sweeping that one to hold line. You know, I thought that one had a chance to curl and maybe catch the one in the top 12. It doesn't matter now. It's gone past it, but it really did look like halfway down that they did have a chance for that double clear. It'd just be a simple matter for Sturmay just to replace that guard.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. The math does not check out removing 1 stone at a time. It's just not there. I guess if you get a missed guard on Claire's shot, she could make a double clear, counting those red rocks in the back of the rings. That could be the plan. But you got to think it's kind of go time here. You really got to make rocks move. So I think clearing 2 would be quite necessary, especially with a Sturmay team that seems just dialed with a 6th rock in a row made shot.
Yeah, and if you're going to do something different, this is the rock to do it. So if you're thinking about, for example, angle running in one of those red guards just to come in from a different direction than straight on, this is the time that you do it. If you're thinking about drawing into the rings around everything, coming to the shot rock on the outturn side, trying to bump it 6 inches, this is the time you do it. The double clear, it's almost too late, I think, Rory. I think you need to make some kind of an adjustment, maybe even play the stone in the front 12 foot with hack weight, just to create a different path to the shot rock. You've had 2 goes the double clear. If you don't double clear here, it could be game over. So I'd be inclined to think about how can we keep this delivered stone useful and in play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. If you
curl there is, right? You could get to shot rock with back button weight.
With back button weight, of course, you could also try to pick it and make Team Sturmay replace that what is a really good rock on the top of the button. I don't like any of that though. I think you got to keep to your guns, stick to your guns, keep throwing rocks back, hope for a missed guard, because you can always make one of those desperation run backs or an attempt at the shot stone on your next one.
Yeah, I just quite like to get a red somewhere in the front of the house that is a usable stone, because right now the problem is Selena doesn't have to throw perfect guards anymore. She just has to throw okay guards because of the double guard. If she was a single guard, different story. But that stone in the front 12 foot is the problem. So if you don't double clear on this shot, it's pretty much game over, I think. So if you're going to double clear, you got to get contact on that stone in the front 12 foot on this shot. If you're just trying to move that stone in the front 12 and get out of the way, you could play at that. You could play at that with hack weight, board weight. Leave your own stone sitting front 12, shorter raise, and then 2 pass to get at the shot. I just think you have to kind of create something for your next shot with this shot. And I'm not sure double raise is the way to do it. Double clear, perfect if you make it, but you gotta make it. Single clear doesn't get it done.
Yeah, agreed. And this discussion, they seem to think the problem rock is this one in the top 12, so eager to see what they go for here. Yeah, it looks like they are going for the one in the top 12. Goes by the top, just chips the one in the top 12, and that is not going to do the trick.
No, and I liked the thought. I don't think you needed to throw that much weight at it, because as long as you're pushing that stone in the front 12 behind the tee line, doesn't matter if it stays in the rings or not, you're just trying to get it past the shot rock. For me, the important thing was less around moving the one in the front 12 foot, although that was important. Just as important was keeping the shooter useful. And by throwing that heavy, ticking it thin, the red spills out of play, it's gone. You can't make that any better, and timeout's going to be called. And just catching it thin, yes, this is now a very, very difficult situation for Team Booth. And even worse for Team Booth as we await the timeout, by clipping that yellow to the left-hand side of the center line, it also negates that run-in path on that redstone just short of the hog line. So even the Hail Mary angle run has now pretty much been cut off.
Just outside of our cameras here is the timeout for Team Sturmay. It looks like it was just a quick discussion confirming that I bet that they're saying they need to throw this one into the rings. A high guard, with the way that top 12 yellow is poking out, if Team Booth ever made a double on the the 2 rocks in the rings, that's a game-winning shot. So it's not enough to protect the outturn side. I think you need to put this one in the rings.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, you don't want to disturb any of those 2 front stones in the come around attempt, nor do you want to be heavy and bump flop the shot rock and leave a simple double. And so that kind of takes you, in terms of eliminating spots to leave rocks, front 8 foot. Pro miss is light as long as you're hiding something behind that front yellow stone.
And the rink grows quiet as teams are leaving the ice, and our game clocking in at, looks like 2 hours and 44 minutes.
It's been entertaining, but it has been a bit of a marathon, there's no doubt.
Oh, definitely. Has not felt that long. This is curling really hard. Got to think this is inside. H. Papley holding this straight for her skip. Once again, it will chip off. A little bit of a cut roll in. Really interesting result.
Well, I think this is playable now for Claire to go across the top of the yellow shot rock. Open up the scoring area for her last.
I don't think she can throw quite as much weight as she would like if they were wide open. I think you do have to manage weight here a little bit. Make sure that you get enough of the top one.
Yeah, you got to get contact on the shot rock, no doubt about that. So that's the first and most important thing to be thinking of. You're right. So you just can't throw a heater, but you don't really need to worry about pushing both of the yellows out of the rings either, as long as you're moving them both deep in the 8 foot.
Yeah, do you think the angle is such that it might jam?
Oh, jam is definitely there if she flirts and comes tight to the guard, so you do need to be mindful of that. Jamming straight to nose would be an awful result.
I think Claire Booth would accept a jam, even just an opportunity to get rid of these stones. Holding it straight. She gets the top one, and she blows by.
That was just a misread on the sweep. That shot was made, and they just overswept it.
After a super hard straight sweep the whole way down the ice, that is heartbreaking. They will not eliminate the yellow stone, and with that yellow rock in the top 12 foot chipped out of the way a little bit, it's hard to see Selena Sturmay making that same mistake twice.
It really isn't. So now you're doing kind of quick mental math, looking around the sheet saying, where's my bailout here? You're assuming that Selena is going to get this thing in front of the shot rock somewhere. And so if she does, what do we do? What do we got? And the answer is not much. You've got a red angle run in on that guard top right of the picture at a tough angle, and you would have to navigate past the stone of the top 12 foot to make, but that could be all that Claire has on her last rock if Selena welds this one at least half behind cover of the front guard stone.
Final rock, Selena Sturmay trying to defend their steel stone. They were down one without hammer in the 6th end. They fought their way back to force an extra.
The sweeper saying it's got T-line weight.
Coming right down to it. It is over curling.
My.
Just over curls inside again. Same miss as the last shot. And through all of this, even though Team Sturmay making all of their shots either perfectly or nearly perfectly, it is going to be Claire Booth with an opportunity to win the game.
Yep, thinking heavy draw. Just need to push the shot rock About 1.5 feet.
Great opportunity to use her sweepers.
Yeah, we've seen how much the stones break once they start to go, and anticipating that break and getting the read right, especially when you're not throwing just cold draw weight, but you know you're having to throw bump, puts a lot of pressure on the sweepers. They've got to communicate really, really well to Jamie. Jamie's got to anticipate the break well, reading line. Claire needs to be honest with her sweepers on release around the weight and the line. So total team shot here.
It all comes down to this, a terrific duel between Team Booth, Team Sturmay. It is Claire Booth with the final stone, a tap back for the win here in the extra end to advance at the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Women's Major. Threw it outside.
Just that extra bit of weight tracks it.
There was no need to throw that much weight. I think the nerves may have influenced a little stronger kick there. And it is a well-deserved win for Selena Sturmay, but boy, Hans, that one could have went either way.
Absolutely, it did. Coming down to the final rock and an extra end, a steal to win it. Really good, strong performance from Team Booth, but Team Sturmay hung in there, and they played fantastically in that extra end. Great setup from Paige Papley with 2 perfect guards, and then Desiree Haas with the perfect come around, which wound up being the winning point.
Hans, it's been a pleasure to commentate this with you. We were treated to an incredible game. So was our audience. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and supporting Curling Stadium. Curling in Alberta. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's more curling coming up tonight, and of course, Championship Sunday awaits us all tomorrow. So we will see you next time. I am Rory McCusker, and for my partner Hans, it's been a pleasure.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort.